Welcome to From the Mind of Christine McConnell. Today's episode is beyond exciting because I finally get to reveal the shoe collection that I have come up with the company American Duchess. They reached out to me about 2 years ago and we have just been emailing back and forth ever since. And now it is finally the day that I get to show you each of the pairs. There's 3 different styles and just kind of run through how they came about and then also explain to you, if you are interested in them, how you can get them yourself. American Duchess has been creating period shoes for over 10 years, and I cannot say enough nice things about them. The shoes are comfortable, beautiful, and in addition to all of that, the people that work there are just amazing. One of the most wonderful things about having done this is now I have shoes for every occasion that I would attend. And the thing that is so great is I really have a difficult time finding shoes that I really like. And this brand in particular, the reason I went with them is I've actually owned multiple pairs of their shoes. They seem to make the only vintage style shoe that is super comfortable just to wear all day long. I can go to parks, vacations with my mom. These are the shoes that I'm wearing constantly. So the idea that I would get to have some that are custom made to what I like is beyond thrilling. So there are 3 different styles. The first is a flat named after my grandmother, and this is the Mildred. Then there is a slingback, which is, I don't want to say I have favorites, but this might be my favorite style. This one is called Catherine after my mother. And a slingback is just the perfect shoe to either just wear casually or even to something that's a little bit dressier. And then I have this kind of femme fatale shoe. This is named after me, Christine, and it's a pump that has no straps and these fun little points. And this was the one that I got a little pushback about. Is this going to work? Is this going to actually grab your foot? And it completely grabs your foot. And these little points look a little scary, but they're actually incredibly soft and they don't hook you at all. This silhouette was heavily inspired by the amazing shoes Diane Kruger was wearing in Inglourious Basterds, which was done by Quentin Tarantino. She was playing the ill-fated but very glamorous spy, Bridget von Hammersmark. The shoes in the film were actually a one-off made by the costumer. I think her name was Anna Shepard, and I have dreamed of having something similar ever since. So in preparation for this episode, I did a poll on Patreon asking what are the questions that people would like to know and how I could answer them. So the first one is from Nathan Hiddle, and he said, what was the general process for this? How much back and forth was there with American Duchess, and were there design elements you came to learn weren't possible for the shoes? And the answer to that is yes to everything. The back and forth, there was a ton of, just because they were really communicative. They really didn't shoot down any of my ideas, but they were definitely, if I asked for something that was kind of unrealistic, they were very practical in explaining why that might be an obstacle. And so there were definitely design elements that I kind of had to 86, but they were really excited to do 3 different unique styles, which I was beyond excited about. I'll tell you a little secret. When they first approached me about this, they had said, we'd love to do a collection, but even if it ends up just being one shoe, that would be fine. And so I designed all of these shoes and finally sent off these drafts to them. And they were like, oh, these are perfect. Thank you so much. And they went quiet for a little while. And I told my mom, I was like, what if they made all 3 of the shoes? And she's like, well, it seems like that's a possibility. And so I really wasn't expecting them to actually go with all 3 of the designs, and they completely did. And if you look, they look exactly like the pictures I sent them, which is just incredible. And they even improved some of the things. I would say the shoe that they enhanced from what I designed is the flat. because I had kind of a complicated design happening right here in the front. And they simplified that and then added these little tabs on the side, which I just really feel like kind of makes it. They're so beautiful, and they're actually inspired by, I saw this picture of Ingrid Bergman walking with her daughter, Isabella Rossellini, and she was wearing shoes that kind of looked similar to this. Like it had like a strap and like a toe. And that was my initial like inspiration. And it was kind of the launching point for designing a flat. Another question I saw on Patreon was from Gretchen Maybell, and she asked, would you recommend wearing stockings with these? The answer is absolutely yes. The ones I love are from a company called Secrets in Lace, and they have them in all sorts of different colors. I love the beige usually for every day, and then they have darker ones with like Swiss dots. Right now I'm wearing like a cocoa pair with Swiss dots. That I just personally feel like they set off shoes. They make you look very glamorous and put together. Another big thing is I'm always wearing Dita Von Teese lingerie just because she has the prettiest vintage looking stuff with like garters and all sorts of other lingerie that surprisingly the captive is never upset about me buying. And so on any given day, I'm wearing Dita Von Teese lingerie, Secrets in Lace nylons, and then American Duchess shoes. Okay, this one's a little funny. Louisa Katharina asked, are you ever to be seen in sneakers or modern day shoes? And the truth is, almost never. I really generally don't like modern day sneakers, but they do have their uses. If I'm doing something that's kind of grubby or working with power tools and I don't want to damage anything I like, those are generally what I would wear. But on the whole, I'm pretty much wearing vintage as much as I possibly can. I just feel like it makes you feel pretty, and life is short and you should wear what makes you happy. Okay, so Kimberly asked, can you tell us about how the shoes were made? And I absolutely can. So the process essentially involved me sketching out what I sort of wanted, sending it to them, getting feedback, and making little adjustments. And one of the biggest obstacles we had to sort of get over was most of their shoes are made with like leather. And I generally kind of just avoid animal products as much as I possibly can. And so that was kind of the thing that was either going to like make or break if this could move forward. And luckily they suggested using textiles, which I thought was fantastic because generally I like a fabric shoe anyway. And so that is why velvets were used. A faux suede was used in the pump. And the cool thing about using the velvet, especially on the slingbacks, is the velvet is going in different directions and it just kind of gives a lot of contrast and it creates something that's really beautiful and shifts as you move your foot. I really love a lot of the shoes that the pinups are wearing in Gil Elfgren's old pinup art. And so I definitely knew I wanted a pair of slingbacks, and luckily American Duchess was equally excited for a fun pair. And so I infused this with a little bit of a spooky kind of element, giving it almost kind of a bat wing along the side. And I was beyond happy with how these came out. Okay, so Sam asked, can you compare the fit sizing to another popular brand for reference? And I don't know that I have another brand that I would particularly point out, but generally their sizes are true to size. And the thing that is so fantastic is they actually come in half sizes. I wear a 10.5, which is really difficult to find. So that was kind of one of the big things that initially drew me to this brand was they had quite a bit of options. I did see a lot of people asking if they're going to come in a wide, and I talked to them about that. And essentially, if a shoe is super popular, then they're going to be able to obviously expand the options on each shoe. But for the meantime, if you do have a wider foot, you can just order half a size up, and that should sort of balance things out a little bit. Okay, so Rachel asked, how did you choose the fabrics and colors? And that was a ridiculously fun part of the process because they sent swatches. We went through them. We did like all of these like Zoom meetings to kind of go through, and everybody had the same booklets that we could kind of go through and say like, let's try this and let's pair this. And you would just hold the different things together, and we just kind of went back and forth. And then ultimately what they do is they send all of the color options, and there's usually like quite a few extra from what they end up making available for sale. And so when they all come back, you kind of look at them and go, what looks the best? What turned out the best of these options? And that's how we ended up with each 4 colors for each particular style. Honeybee Bailey asked, do you get to keep the samples? And the answer is yes. It was kind of the most exciting thing. It's so funny because it's obviously wonderful to create something that other people can enjoy. But more than anything, I was just beyond excited to actually just like have these in all of the colors that we picked. And I would have honestly just done it for that. I just think it's so fun to be able to draw something out and have this fun experience and then have this thing that you've designed in your closet. And so what I'm doing is I've actually, in addition to what I have, I've pre-ordered additional pairs for everything that I like. And that way, if I can potentially, if something happens one day and I like damage one of the shoes, I can always like get another one because it'll just be like up there in the closet, hiding fresh in its box. Cassie asked, are they comfortable? And the answer is absolutely. It was one of the biggest sort of pluses with working with American Duchess is not only do they make beautiful shoes, but they're generally never like obscenely tall, and there's cushioning, and they just are so well made and easy to walk in. So yes, they're very comfortable, and they are the shoe that I'm generally just always wearing when I go on like a trip with my mom and we're just wandering around a new city. One of the things that was ridiculously fun about this was coming up with the names, or like the different names for the different colors, because I gave them a whole list of things and they were just immediately excited about them. I thought the ones I'm wearing right now are called sheep's clothing, and I'm trying to think of which ones. These are called Twilight Blue. These like mocha colored slingbacks, they are called Hazelnut Wand, which I think is so pretty sounding. There was one shoe that was so beautiful, and it's the red. It's called Aurora Red, and it's the slingback. And I had suggested Rice and Red, and they were very nice, but they were like, you know, that's a poison that's been used for like political assassinations, and maybe that's not such a great idea. And so I was like, oh, okay, well, let's go with Aurora Red then. And so basically, very little pushback on the names that I gave them, and I'm so happy with them. One thing that I saw asked was what was the reason for the naming of the shoes? And the truth is I'm just extremely close to my mom. She was extremely close to her mom. And I only had my grandmother in my life until I was like 7 years old. And she and I just got along so incredibly well. And it was kind of an amazing relationship that was cut short way too soon. And so I just thought it would be an amazing like homage to name the flats after her. She did wear flats and muumuus a lot. She was always wearing jewelry. She was shopping on like QVC online, or not online, on the television. And it was so fun. I can remember sitting like cross-legged on the carpet with her, and she'd have like this little pitcher of water, and she'd be ordering things, and the people on the TV would be like moving their hands back and forth. And it was just a wonderful memory. And I just thought sort of bringing her into this was a great way to sort of honor her. And so that's why the flats are named Mildred. And then these are the Catherines. They're named after my mom, who's just about my very best friend in the world. And she kind of loves a good sexy shoe, and she'll wear shoes that are generally a lot taller than I will. And so these ended up being like the tallest heel. And then for mine, I just wanted something kind of a little bit dangerous looking. And honestly, I love them all, but I don't know, I can't really play a favorite. The slingback might be my #1 favorite, but these are very close behind. I hope you have enjoyed this episode. If you are interested in pre-ordering any of these styles, go to the American Duchess website. The link is just below, and they are 15% off if you order before November 24th. And if you are interested in getting them, make sure you jump on it, just because you never know how long things are going to be available. I am getting ready to head out. So until next time, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you again very soon.